Welcome to a Hardcore Course in Miracles. This is Earl Purdy here on Facebook Live, and I want to invite you to Hardcore Course. Everybody's running scared. Welcome to A Course in Miracles with Earl Purdy. I'm so glad to be here. It's so wonderful to be here with you right now. Love is who I am. Welcome to the Course in Miracles, and we're going to talk about what the Course in Miracles says. We're going to do the introduction to the Course in Miracles. We're going to go so deep in the Course. Yes, we are. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it. Know that we are one. Yes. Take a breath, greet each other. We are going to talk about what the Course is, what it says. We're going to talk about what it says, and we're going to do the intro to the Course right tonight. I'm just getting it up so I can monitor it, so I can see your comments. But this is Hardcore Course in Miracles. We're going to go so deep tonight, don't you know that? We are going to go so deep into the Course in Miracles on this Facebook Live broadcast. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it. Know that we are one. So glad to have you for Hardcore Course in Miracles with Earl Purdy. I'm so glad to be here with you. Remember, you don't have to believe the ideas. You don't have to accept the ideas. Some of the ideas are going to be hard to believe. Some is going to be quite startling. But this is not about analyzing the Course. This is not an analyze a Course in Miracles. This is Hardcore Course. If you use the ideas, you will absolutely see that the ideas are true. The ideas in A Course in Miracles, you only see if they're true if you use the ideas. Now listen to me. You and me, we're not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. Yes, we are. We've been together from the start. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around you. Know that we are one. We are one. Oh, we are one. Let's join together, mighty companions. We're going to cover the rest of what the Course in Miracles says, and then we're going to go into the introduction to the Course in Miracles, and we're going to go really deep into the Course. We're going to go slowly all the way through the Course in Miracles together. I love you. Hey, I'm Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to Hardcore Course in Miracles with me. And Hardcore Course in Miracles just means I'm going to take my 37 years of working with the Course in Miracles. The last 30 years, I've been a full-time teacher, facilitator of the Course in Miracles. I want to breathe a means to bring the Course in Miracles to life, to really hear it. So I earmarked my Thursday night Course in Miracles. I call it Hardcore Course in Miracles because it's a totally uncensored expression of myself using the Course in Miracles. And I want to work intensely with the book, with people who really want to hear what the Course in Miracles is saying. And I want to give you a lot of tips about how it can be so much more simpler. So I'm going to do the Course in Miracles, and I'm going to go through it. And I'm going to go through it in plain language and show you how the Course itself explains itself as it goes along. So I'm going to be in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of the Course in Miracles, because that was the original one I learned under, and it's the one that most people actually have. And it's just as powerful as ever for those who are open to it. And we're going to be in the preface of the Course in Miracles book. And we're in the section called What It Says in A Course in Miracles. And we are going to start with the paragraph that says, perception is a function of the body. It's got Roman numerals, so I think this is page 12, Roman numeral 12. I really never understand why people use Roman numerals when that's not what we use over here, but who am I to question? So it's Roman numeral page 12, Roman numeral 12, in the preface of the Course in Miracles, and we're in the section called What It Says. So we're doing this live, and I want to do a special shout out to those of you who are joining me on Facebook Live on the Earl Purdy page live, because that means we can communicate with each other in real time. And I'm going to respond when I can. I see your comments, but I'm also going to be in an altered state. So take advantage of the fact that you can communicate live and with each other. I would like you to right now just take a few seconds to share this video, this presentation on your timeline. Right next to where you make comments, you can tap share and share this live broadcast on your timeline. I want to ask you to do that. And if you want to be notified whenever I'm doing a live broadcast, just tap the screen and you'll get the option to become a follower of my Facebook page. So if you become a follower of my Earl Purdy page on Facebook, then you're notified instantaneously whenever I'm broadcasting live. And people can watch the broadcast whether or not they are Facebook members. So if you want people that you know to watch the Course in Miracles broadcast with me, just tell them to go to www.facebook.com/Earl Purdy Live. That's the link. That's the Earl. That's the Earl for Earl. www.facebook.com/Earl Purdy Live. Just go to the Earl Purdy page. Okay, so just wanted to get those things out there. So comment, and so take a breath. I want you to take a moment to just take a breath. And I want to ask you to let go of your analytical mind. Let go of your analytical mind. This is going to be an experience. This is going to be a heart experience. So it's not about analyzing A Course in Miracles. We are going to hear the Course in Miracles together. And I'm excited about that. So I'm going to start with the paragraph on page 12 in the preface, under the section, What the Course in Miracles Says. I'm going to start with the paragraph that says, perception is a function of the body. Perception is a function of the body. And I'm going to use my iPad so that I can see the fonts really, really good and really, really easy. And I want to thank all of you that's online. I want to do a shout out to Ava and Joanne and Kim and CJ. Thank you for being here. And there's a lot of people online. Bill, Julie, Norma. I'm so glad to have you here. So we're going to breathe right now, and then I'm going to go deep into, what this is saying right now. I had one. This is. I'm not going to get into the details of it, but this has been one of the most powerful days of my life, as far as seeing the power of the Course in Miracles work and the power of forgiveness. And it involved the relationship with me and my incredible, beautiful daughter. And so we went to a level of depth in our relationship that's been beyond anything we've ever experienced before, after having in the past dealt with some misperceptions. And I saw the power of the Course in Miracles work again in my life over and over again. I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 37 years. I've loved this book for 37 years. And I'm telling you, it works. If you think the Course in Miracles isn't working, I hate to tell you this, but it just means you're not really doing what it's saying. That's all. You're innocent, you're sweet as you can be, you're cute, but you're not applying the ideas of the Course if you're not experiencing the results that it's promising. And our ego, the part of us that thinks it knows, it's an absolute expert in making us think we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, but we're not getting the result. So I want you to know that the first paragraph says, perception is a function of the body. The Course in Miracles says, read me slowly. It says, and I hope you're reading along, because I'm going to give you some tips about how to get the simplicity and the power out of the Course. Because it's only talking about love and fear. That's the only thing the Course in Miracles is talking about. Removing the blocks to love and how to experience love. That's what the whole book is about, even though it's using Christian terminology. So it says perception is a function of the body and therefore represents a limit on awareness. So what does that mean? Well, it means perception sees through the eyes of the body. So perception is, right now, your perception is seeing through your body's eyes. You're seeing me through your body's eyes. And the Course in Miracles just said in the previous sentence that that's a limit on your awareness of me. Just seeing me through your physical eyes is actually a limit on your awareness of me. So what does perception do? Well, it says perception sees through the body's eyes and perception hears through the body's ears. So you are seeing through your physical eyes, you are hearing through your physical eyes, and so the Course says perception evokes, I love that, perception evokes the limited responses which the body makes. So all of the limited responses that your body makes, that's being evoked by your perception, and your perception is a limit on awareness. There's much more for you to be aware of than what your physical eyes see. There's much more for you to be aware of, Earl, than what your physical eyes, what your physical ears hear. So the truth is, the body appears to be largely self-motivated. The body appears to be independent, yet really your body is actually responding only to the intentions of your mind. Your body is only doing what your mind intends for your body to do. Your body is following your mind's orders. Your body is following your orders. Your body is following your mind's orders. And the Course in Miracles says, if the mind uses the body for attack, and some of the other Course in Miracles definitions of attack is the same as saying, if your mind uses your body for fear, if your mind uses your body for guilt, if your mind uses your body for guilt, if your mind is using your body for guilt, if your mind is using your body for attack, in any form. So if I'm using my body for anger and attack and separation in any form, then the body becomes prey to sickness, age, and decay. So did the Course in Miracles just tell me that if I use my body for attack, if I use my body for fear, that's when my body becomes vulnerable to sickness? That's when I experience what I call the aging process. That's when it looks like my body is decaying. So the condition of my body is based on whether or not I am using my mind for attack, guilt, separation, anger, or fear. So that means that if I'm using my body for anger, then it means my body becomes prey to sickness, age, and decay. So if I'm using my body through my fear-based mind, because we're only talking about love or fear, then that's what causes my body to get sick. That is what causes my body to age. That is what causes my body to decay. If the mind accepts the Holy Spirit's purpose for the body, that means if you accept the purpose of love for your body, you're going to use your body for love. If you're going to use your body for love, then your body becomes a useful way of communicating with others. And when you're using your body for truth and you're using your body for love, your body becomes a useful way of communicating with others. And your body will be invulnerable as long as your body is needed if you are using your body as a useful way of communicating with others. So if I use my body for the purpose of love, it becomes a useful way of communicating with others, and my body will be invulnerable as long as I'm using it correctly. And then I'm going to gently lay my body down when the use of my body is done. So the Course in Miracles just told me now let me share something with you. If you really want to get the power of the Course in Miracles, make it okay for you not to like what you think you've heard. Make it okay for you to not like what you think you have heard. If you really want to experience the Course in Miracles, what you want to do, first of all, is you just want to allow yourself to hear what I'm saying without believing that you have to buy what I'm saying or believe what I'm saying from A Course in Miracles. Because in Hardcore Course, I'm really here for those who really love the Course and want to really get the Course, and they don't have to feel like they have to be right and they have to understand everything at first. So we're not looking for the students of the Course who want to battle with the Course. That's not the purpose of this hardcore class. This hardcore class is oriented toward people who really want the Course in Miracles and they love the Course in Miracles, even though it can be a challenge. Sometimes they know they friggin' love it and they want to hear it. So it's so simple because you have to be ready to let things be simple, right? So we were just told, if you want to use your body for fear, if you want to use your body for separation, if you want to use your body for the ego, then your body's going to get all screwed up in your perception. That's going to be what's jamming your body up, is that you're using your body for fear. You're using your body for a reason that it's not supposed to be used. Now, rather than me defending against that, saying, oh, no, I'm not. I'm a really nice person. All I want to do is love people. And the Course in Miracles also says that sickness is non-right-mindedness, that sickness is any form of lack of peace. So when we talk about sickness, we're not just talking about physical conditions. If you are in total conflict and fear and guilt and anger, you are non-right-minded, which is what the Course in Miracles defines as sickness. So if I use my body for fear and conflict, it becomes prey to sickness, age, and decay. If I want to use my body for love, if I want to use my body for communication, then my body is going to be invulnerable as long as I need it, and then I'm going to lay my body down gently when I have used it and completed my use for it. The Course in Miracles then says, of itself, the Course in Miracles says it a lot. But in this case, whenever you can actually identify what the it is, it will help you understand it more as you read it. So of itself, the body is neutral, as is everything in the world of perception. The body is neutral, and everything you see is neutral. So whether your body is used for the goals of the ego, which is fear, or whether your body is used for the goals of the Holy Spirit, which is love, that depends entirely upon what you want. Then if I really want love, then I'm going to use my body as a means for useful communication and peace and love. If I want to experience fear and ego, then I'm going to use my body for separation. Again, very simple. How you're going to use your body depends on what you want. How you're going to use your body depends on what you want. How you're going to use your body depends on what you want. The next paragraph says, now the opposite of seeing through the body's eyes is the vision of Christ. Christ, according to the Course in Miracles, is the one self that we share. The Christ is your true self. I like to use the Course in Miracles definitions for the Course in Miracles terms. And one of the definitions it gives is that Christ is your real self. Christ is you as love. So remember, the Course in Miracles is only talking about love or fear. So it says the opposite of seeing through the body's eyes is the vision of Christ. So how can you tell when you're using the vision and the sight that comes from your true self? Well, when you're seeing through your true self's eyes, when you're seeing through your real self, the Course in Miracles says this reflects strength rather than weakness. When you're seeing through your real eyes, what you see reflects unity rather than separation, which is love rather than fear. So how can I tell when I'm really seeing through my eyes as opposed to my ego's eyes, which is the eyes of fear? When I'm looking through the eyes of love, I feel strong. When I'm looking through the eyes of love, I feel unity. When I'm looking through the eyes of love, I feel love. So the opposite, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I love it, love it, love it. There we go. So the opposite of hearing through your body's ears. So the opposite of hearing through your body's ears is communication through the voice of God. So communication that comes to you through the voice of God is the opposite of the things that you hear through your physical ears. So the voice for God, the voice for love, and then look at how the Course in Miracles says, the opposite of hearing through the body's eyes is communication through the voice for God, comma, the Holy Spirit. So another term for the Holy Spirit is the voice for God. So whenever you say, I'm going to give something to the Holy Spirit, Earl and Mighty Companion, you're saying, I'm going to give this to God. I'm going to give this to the voice for God. I'm going to give this to the voice for God. And I have to remember that God's voice is going to be the opposite of what I'm hearing through my ears. God's voice is going to be the opposite of what I'm hearing through my physical ears. The voice for God is going to be the opposite of me listening to what is going on the outside, right? And then the Course in Miracles then says, this voice for God, this Holy Spirit, which abides in each of us. So does that mean that each and every one of us has the voice for love? That each and every one of us, we have the voice for God? That each and every one of us has the voice for the Holy Spirit? The Course in Miracles says that's exactly right. That every one of us has God's voice communicating to us. You have the voice of God in you communicating to you. And then the Course in Miracles says that each and every one of us has the voice for God. But then it also explains in the next sentence that God's voice seems distant and difficult to hear. Okay, God is talking to me. It looks like I don't really hear the voice for love. I don't really hear the voice for God. It's kind of difficult for me to hear the truth. It's kind of difficult for me to hear God's voice. And then the Course in Miracles says, well, the reason why it's difficult for you to hear the voice for God in you is because the ego, And what is the ego? The ego is the part of you that speaks, the part of your mind, the voice in your mind that speaks for the little separate self. So the voice that I listen to that tells me that I am Earl Purdy, a separate person, that voice is much louder than the voice for God, the voice for truth, and the voice for love. In other words, I listen to myself more than I listen to God. I'm listening to what I'm telling myself more than I'm listening to the voice for God. I'm more used to listening to my voice than the voice for God. So this is actually reversed. The truth is the Holy Spirit, which we just heard was the voice for God, it speaks with unmistakable clarity. So how can a person tell when they're listening to the voice for God inside of themselves? The voice for God will speak with unmistakable clarity, and it will have overwhelming appeal. In other words, the voice for God will be what you love to hear. When you're hearing the voice for love, it's something that has an overwhelming appeal to you. You're so glad to hear the voice for love. It's speaking to you with total clarity and is much more appealing to you than listening to you and listening to what you are telling yourself through your ego. So no one who does not choose to identify with the body could possibly be deaf to the Holy Spirit's messages of release and hope. Okay, so what is it that keeps me from hearing God's voice? According to that sentence, it says, what keeps me from hearing God's voice, what keeps me from hearing the truth, what keeps me from hearing the voice of love is that I am identifying with being a body. So if a person thinks that they are their body, they will not hear the voice for God very clearly and very loudly. So, so let me get this straight. God is talking to me all the time, but I'm just listening to what I'm telling myself and what I've learned from the past. And I'm also thinking I'm just this black guy, this bodied, this human being named Earl Purdy. And as long as I think I'm just this human body named Earl Purdy, then I'm identifying with the body. And the Course in Miracles says, then I won't be able to hear God's voice because I'm listening to the world and listening to what's happening outside of me through my physical ears. And if I'm listening through my physical ears and I'm seeing through my physical eyes and I'm identifying myself as being a body, then I'm using my limited awareness, because he said earlier that perception is a limit on awareness. So if I'm just believing what I see and experience through my physical senses, I won't be able to hear the voice of God. The reason why you don't hear God's voice is because you're just perceiving and hearing and experiencing the things through your physical senses. So if you are totally identified with your sexual identity, if you are totally identified with your body, then he says, then you become deaf to God's messages of release and hope. Nor could you fail to accept joyously the vision of Christ, which is the vision of love, in glad exchange for your miserable picture of yourself. So I'll hang on to the miserable picture that a part of me has of myself if I'm not seeing things through the vision of Christ, which is the vision of love. And I won't see things through love as long as I'm believing whatever I am perceiving through my physical senses and my physical body. My physical senses are showing me pain and separation and racism and sickness and wars and attacks and murders broken into by periods where it looks like people are having a good time. So as long as I am believing what I'm seeing and hearing through my physical senses, then I will not hear the voice for God clearly directing me and guiding me and telling me what to do, because I'm so identified with being a physical body that I've forgotten that I am spirit. So the reason why my body gets sick and dies and decays is because I have a lot of fear. And I'm using my body out of my fearful mind. I'm using my body out of my guilty mind. I'm using my body out of my angry mind. And that is what causes my body to get sick. That's what causes my body to age. And that's what causes my body to decay. One of the things that the Course in Miracles says is that it says read, many times in the Course in Miracles, it says read me slowly and lighten up is what I add to it. You know, it's important to see that there's a lot of humor. Jesus has a lot of humor as he talks through the Course in Miracles. To me, it's a kind of a dry wit and a dry humor, but it's really cool. So the Course is really saying something that's very simple, but it's just so different from the way that we've been taught that the mind says that I don't understand this. And so there's nothing hard to understand. You are seeing through your body, but your body can't see everything. So your body is a limit on awareness. You can use your body for fear or you can use your body for love. If you use your body for love, then your body will be invulnerable and useful. And when you get through using it, you'll just lay it down. If you use your body for anger, fear, and guilt, then that's when you give yourself a lot of pain. And if you are experiencing pain in your body, rather than fighting this and beating yourself up about the fact that that means that you must be using your body at some level for fear, just make the decision that you're going to move toward more and more and more using your body for the purpose of love. Because when I use my body for the purpose of love, then that's when I have a much more peaceful experience of my body. So I have to be willing to accept the vision of love as opposed to giving more credence to the criticisms and judgments, which the Course calls the miserable picture that I have of myself. So the Course in Miracles says in the next paragraph, Christ's vision, the Holy Spirit's gift, is the same as saying love's vision is the loving mind's gift, which is God's alternative to the illusion of separation and to the belief in the reality of sin, guilt, and death. There's an alternative to seeing guilt, and that alternative is you can use Christ's vision, and it says Christ's vision is the vision of love. So seeing through love is the one correction for all errors of perception. See right there in that sentence, it says the looking through love is the one correction for all errors of perception. Looking through love, Christ's vision is the reconciliation of the seeming opposites on which this world is based. Seeing through love, its kindly light shows all things from another point of view. And what is the other point of view? It's seeing with love is going to reflect the thought system that arises from knowledge. And when you're seeing from love, you're going to start thinking in a way that is knowledgeable. And that's going to make return to God not only possible, but inevitable. So how can I absolutely know that I'm going to return to God? Because I'm going to start looking at you through the eyes of love. I'm going to look at you through the eyes of truth. And that's going to reflect another way of thinking that's coming from knowledge within me. So that's going to make return to God not only possible, but inevitable. So you are going to inevitably return to love and God when you start seeing things through the vision of Christ, which is the vision of love. So if I will see you through the vision of love, then I'm going to have the remembrance of God. because I'm not going to be looking at you through my body's eyes. I'm not going to be looking at you through my body's eyes. I'm not going to be listening to you through my body's ears. I'm going to recognize that if I'm just judging you by what I see in my and through my physical senses, I'm not really seeing you at all. See, the Course in Miracles is such a trip. It's telling me that really every time I look at you through my physical eyes, I'm not really looking at you. That I'm not really looking at you when I'm looking at you through my physical eyes. I'm not really seeing you when I'm listening to you through my physical ears, because my physical senses are a limit on awareness. There's more of you to be aware of than I can see. So that simply means you are more than my eyes can see. So if I'm going to love you, I have to be willing to see you beyond what my physical senses tell me about you. And so the Course in Miracles says that this is how you can tell when you're looking through the eyes of Christ. This is how you can tell when you're looking through the eyes of love. He says what happens is what was regarded as injustice done to you by someone else now becomes a call for help and a call for union. So instead of saying that this thing that I think that was an injustice, whatever injustices I think that you are doing to me, whatever I think you're doing to me that's not fair, whatever I think you're doing to me that's an injustice, when I have Christ's vision, when I have the vision of truth, the Course says, I'm going to say to you, the way that you're treating me is a call for help. The way that you are treating me is a call for help. How unfair you're being to me is a call for help. How unfairly it looks like you are treating me is just you making a call for help. You're doing something that looks like it's unloving to me is really just you calling for help and calling for union with me. Now that's a big jump to think that one day I'm going to see everything that somebody looks like they're doing to me that looks unfair. I'm going to see it as that's a call for help. That's a call for union. And the Course in Miracles just told me that I have to use Christ's vision in order to do that, which means I have to have the vision of love in order to see whatever you are doing to me as a call for help and a call for union, which means I can't be judging you by what my body's eyes are telling me about you and what my body's ears are saying to me. I have to stop using just the senses of my physical body as a judge of what is really happening. So that means that when I'm looking at you and I'm looking at you with love, the next sentence says, sin, sickness, and attack. Whenever I see what I think of as a sin, whenever I see what I think of as sickness, whenever I see what I think of as attack, I'm going to see that as misperceptions. I see what appears to be sin in the world. That's a misperception. I'm seeing, like when I was looking at the news yesterday, and they were talking about the flu epidemic that's going around. Okay, based on this, what they were talking about were misperceptions that are going around. There's a lot of misperceptions going around, and that's what we would really be saying when we would say something like there's a lot of flu going around. What I'm looking at when I think I'm looking at the flu, I'm looking at misperceptions calling for remedy. Flu is a misperception that is calling for remedy. So what is the remedy for a misperception? It is gentleness and love. It says right here, if you look down at what we're reading, it says sin, sickness, and attack are seen as misperceptions calling for remedy, and the remedy is through gentleness and love. So the real answer to sickness, the real answer to any kind of belief in sin, the real answer to any kind of attack according to the Course in Miracles that we do not have to believe, what we're really looking at, we're looking at misperceptions that are calling for remedy. And sin, sickness, and attack are misperceptions that are calling for remedy, and the remedy must come through gentleness and love. So the next thing that you do, he says, is defenses are laid down, because where there is no attack, there is no need for defenses. If I don't believe that you are attacking me because I see what you are doing as a call for love, then I don't have to be defensive because you're not really attacking me. You're really calling for love. So there's no need for me to be defensive because you're not attacking me. What looks like attack is really your call for help and your call for union. Now, don't forget that I said in this hardcore presentation, book-based, focused Course in Miracles class that I'm doing on Thursday, what we want to do is, first of all, we want to hear what the Course in Miracles is saying. This is not about understanding what the Course in Miracles is saying. This is not about analyzing what the Course in Miracles is saying. What we're doing in Hardcore Course is we're going to do the thing that's the last thing the ego wants us to do, which is to hear the friggin' book. Because most of the time in my 30-something years of working with the Course, what I've found is that most people who are studying the Course haven't actually read it. They haven't actually read the text, done the workbook, and read the teacher's manual. And so they're trying to figure out what the Course is saying without ever actually hearing what the Course in Miracles is saying. So what we're doing together, which is so powerful, is I'm going through the book, and if you'll notice, all I'm doing is referring back to what the Course itself is saying so that it can actually interpret itself for us. For instance, it says that what is sin, sickness, and attack? Well, it says sin, sickness, and attack are seen as misperceptions. So what am I supposed to call sickness now? What am I supposed to call attack now? I'm going to say there's a lot of misperceptions going on in Syria right now. There's a lot of misperceptions going on in California with the mudslides right now. Whatever I see that is something that could disturb my peace, I'm to see that as a misperception, calling for remedy through gentleness and love. Defenses are laid down. Why? Because if what you're doing is not attack, it's a call for help, which is just what it said, and a call for union, then there's no need for me to defend myself. Why? Because our brothers' needs become our own needs. So your needs are my needs because we are taking the journey together as we go to God. So whatever I need is what you need. If I need love, you need love. If you need support, I need support. If you need food, I need food. If you need compassion, I need compassion. Whatever you tell me that you need, I'm going to say that is my need too, because we are one self. So if we are one, then whatever you need, that's what I need, because there's just one of us here. Everybody online, everybody watching this video, hear me, hear me. There is just one of us here. It looks like there's many of us here because we are using the limited awareness of our physical body's perception. So the Course in Miracles says, without us, without each other, without us, they would lose their way. Now, let me read the whole thing. Our brothers' needs become our own because our brothers are taking the journey with us as we go to God. So as we go to love, we are taking everyone with us. We are taking each other to love. That's why I love these live broadcasts, because the beauty of it is we are joined with each other in real time. And I don't personally care whether there are 10 viewers watching or there's 10,000 watching, because numbers don't matter. What matters is what? Using our bodies for love. Me using my body to communicate love. You see, by me using my body right now to communicate love, that is the Holy Spirit using my body. And so if the Holy Spirit is using my body to communicate love, that will help me not give myself the flu or any other pain or sickness. Now, since I still appear to sometimes see the body get ill and sometimes see the body going through aging or discomfort, I absolutely don't look like, my body doesn't look like my 20-year-old body looked. So what does that tell me? Well, that tells me that I am still at some level using my body for separation, because it said that if I don't use my body for separation completely, then I would not be experiencing what I call aging. So I'm not going to make a big deal out of the fact that my body doesn't look 20. It just makes me aware that I'm still moving toward letting go of all anger, guilt, and grievances. That I'm moving toward using I'm moving toward not using my body for fear and separation. But I'm not going to judge myself for that, because if I judge my body, then I'm misperceiving my body, and I'm further creating the aging process. So I'm just saying back what the Course is saying. I didn't write it, so I don't feel a need to defend it. But if you look down at the page, you will see that I have not said anything that's not on this page. I'm just hopefully saying it in a way that some of you out there will be able to hear it, and will be able to hear it better than you hear it at first in reading on your own. So I want you to know that I'm not defending A Course in Miracles. I'm not going to act like it's saying that everything it's saying is going to be easy for you to hear or to swallow, especially the ego. So the Course in Miracles says forgiveness is unknown in heaven, where the need for forgiveness would be inconceivable. It's inconceivable that you would need to be forgiven in heaven, which is reality and love. If where there is true love, there is never a need to forgive or to be forgiven. Then it says, however, in this world, so forgiveness is unknown in heaven, and heaven is another word for reality. So forgiveness is unknown in reality, because in reality, there's no need to forgive. However, in this world, which world? In this world, in this world, forgiveness is a necessary correction. So the Course in Miracles defines forgiveness as correct perception. One of the definitions of forgiveness is true perception. So when you hear the word forgiveness, you could substitute the word correct perception or true perception. So forgiveness, which is correct perception, forgiveness is a necessary correction for all the mistakes that we've made. So what corrects every mistake that I have made is forgiveness. And forgiveness is true perception. So what is it that corrects every mistake that you've made? Forgiveness, which is correct perception. So when I forgive you, it just means I am correctly perceiving you. I'm seeing you as the love that you really are. So when I forgive you, I'm seeing you as love. That's how I'll know when I've really forgiven you, because I'll have the correct perception of you. And the correct perception of you would be a perception of love. To offer forgiveness is the only way for us to have it. Now, that's a pretty plain statement, because forgiveness reflects the law of heaven, which is the law of love. So what is the law of love? Giving and receiving are the same thing. 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 So I want to ask you to tune in and try to allow your ego mind to calm down, the analytical mind to calm down. And I would like you to, in real time, if you can, to join in and allow yourself to hear what the Course in Miracles is saying through me. Allow yourself to just hear what it's saying. It's saying to us that giving and receiving are the same thing. So whatever it is I think I'm receiving is what I think I'm giving. And heaven is the natural state of all the sons of God as God created them. So love is your natural state as you were created. That's your reality forever. Your reality is love. Your reality is love forever. And just because you have forgotten how lovable you are, just because you may have forgotten how beautiful you are, it doesn't mean that it's changed. I might forget where my car is in the parking lot, but that doesn't mean that my car has changed. It's still the same car. I just forgot where it is. You are still absolute love, even though you may have forgotten it. You are still love. You are still lovable. You are still loving, even though you may think of yourself as insecure or fearful, or even if you may think of yourself as being just a physical body. And remember, we were told earlier, if you think you are just a physical body, it's going to keep you from hearing the voice for God in you, because the voice for God is a voice that is beyond the physical body. So the Course in Miracles says, forgiveness is the means by which we will remember. Correct perception is the means by which we will remember. Remember, I said that the Course says that forgiveness is true perception. Forgiveness is correct perception. So forgiveness is the means by which we will remember. And through forgiveness, through correctly perceiving each other, the thinking of the world is reversed. So the forgiven world, which is a world that you are finally seeing correctly, which is a world that you are finally seeing with love, becomes the gate of heaven, which is the gate of love. Because by its mercy, we can at last forgive ourselves. When I am giving mercy to the world will give mercy back to me. When I am seeing the world correctly, which is I'm seeing this world as I'm seeing the world of fear as a misperception. Remember, it just said a couple of paragraphs back that sickness and pain and age is a misperception. Attack is a misperception. So when I start to see what other people are doing that I used to perceive as attack or fear or guilt, if I see that as a call for help, if I see that as a call for union, then I am forgiving them and I am forgiving the world, and I will begin to see the world's mercy being directed toward me. It says right here on the page, the forgiven world becomes the gate of heaven, because by its mercy, we can at last forgive ourselves. So how do you free yourself? How do you forgive yourself? The next sentence answers that question. When you're studying the Course in Miracles and you have a question, keep reading, keep going forward, because it's almost as if the Course in Miracles anticipates the questions that are going to come up. So if you don't stop and analyze it and you keep moving forward, you will get the answer 99 times out of 100. Let me give you an example. It says the forgiven world becomes the gate of heaven, because by its mercy, we can at last forgive ourselves. We're in the section in the Course in Miracles that's in the preface that's called What It Says. So how do you forgive yourself? Well, the next sentence says, holding no one prisoner to guilt. I am not going to see you as guilty. I was just told not to see you as guilty, but to see you as calling for help and calling for unity. So by seeing you as calling for help, by seeing your anger, upset, or attack as a call for help, we become free. So take a breath. Okay, so what do you do next? Well, it says, acknowledging Christ and all our brothers, acknowledging the love in everyone else, acknowledging the truth in everyone else, acknowledging the real self, the one self that we all share, the Christ, in all our brothers. And the Course in Miracles has a definition of brothers that's basically a mind that's joined with mind. So my brother is not a gender-based statement. It's actually just saying a brother is a mind that's joined with mind. Your mind that's joined with mine, that's what a brother is. It's a mind joined with a mind, not a physical man. It's a mind joined with the mind. So acknowledging Christ, acknowledging the truth, and all our brothers, we recognize the presence of God, of Christ, of the real self in ourselves. So by me acknowledging the real you, by me acknowledging the real you in myself, the real you, the love you, then I recognize the presence of love in me. By acknowledging the presence of love in you, by acknowledging the presence of love in you, I recognize love is in me as I recognize love is in you. But I may not recognize love in you if I'm just judging you by what my physical senses tell me about you, because my physical senses may say you are attacking me, that you are a pain in the butt, that you're not doing what I want you to do, that you're making me mad, or that you're trying to hurt me, or that you don't care. My physical eyes, my human ears may say the world is going to hell in a handbasket. There's possibilities of war and disease everywhere. But I was told if I listen through my physical senses, then I will not hear the voice for truth and the voice for love very loudly and clearly, because I'm listening to the criticisms and the judgments that I'm coming up with about everything and everybody. And so when I'm listening to my own judgments, when I'm listening to my own interpretations, when I'm listening to my own thoughts that are based on the things that I'm seeing through my physical senses, then I won't be able to hear the voice for God, because the voice for God is the voice that's beyond my fear, beyond my anger, beyond my guilt, and beyond my judgments. And when I'm listening to the voice for God, when I'm really hearing the voice for God, then I'm going to use my body for communication. I'm going to use my body for love. I'm going to use my body for truth. And by using my body for love and using my body for truth, my body will be invulnerable. It will be healthy. It will be healed, and it will be whole. And it will be right there to be used by me in a peaceful way until it's time for me to lay my body down and leave this plane. That is what the Course in Miracles is saying. That's what the Course in Miracles is saying. That completes what the Course in Miracles is saying. And I'll say this one more time. Forgiveness is the means by which we will remember. Forgiveness is correct perception. So it's through having correct perception, through having the correct interpretation of what's going on, which the Course in Miracles said earlier was everything is a call for help and a call for unity. That's what sickness, pain, and attack is. It's a call for help. It's a call for unity. Sickness, pain, age, attack, anything that we see as fearful, the Course in Miracles says it's a misperception. So when I look at the news, I'm seeing a lot of misperceptions. When I look at the political climate and what's happening in our country through my physical senses, I'm only looking at misperceptions when I'm looking at any kind of fear or conflict in myself, in my life, in my world. I'm looking at misperceptions. And so the Course in Miracles said in this section that I covered that what you're looking at is a call for help and a call for unity. And so if you see it that way, you are now correcting your perception, which is forgiveness. So at the time that you actually see what you think of as an injustice that's being done to you by somebody, and you go, oh, that person is acting like such a butt, because such an ass, because they really are calling for help. That's really a misperception. That's really a call for unity. Then at that point, you have forgiven, because you are seeing them through Christ's vision. You are seeing them through the truth. You are seeing them through what the voice of the Holy Spirit told you that is going on. The voice for God told us today that the things that we see in the world and we experience as injustices are really calls for help. It's right there on the page. A call for help and a call for unity. So I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to give you a chance to take all of that in, which was very, very powerful. So the response, like you say, C, is gentleness and love. A leader says, I know that lately I've had many lessons to learn coming my way. And CJ says, may I enter the realm of gentleness and love to remedy the symptoms of sickness in my life. Susan says, well, I have had a misperception for 6 weeks. That's right. If I've been upset about something, or I've been going through pain about something, if I want to heal it according to the Course in Miracles, I need to see that as a misperception. I need to see that as a call for help and a call for unity. Kathy says, ground yourself, Kathy. But when unfairness, an attack is upon you, turn that unfairness attack over, because that unfairness and attack is a clear call for love and kindness. Turn up God's voice. That is exactly right. If you see attack as a clear call for love, that is forgiveness, because now you are seeing attack correctly. So right, you're right, Demola. The door of love is wide open, and we are knocking right now. And Gemma says, I want to hear and apply it to myself. And Julie says, bring it on, voice of God in the text. So I want to say to you that if you want to really, my advice after 37 years of working with this material is to keep one thing in mind. If you're really just committing yourself to the course for the first time, and you're even trying to go through the material for the first time, I want you to keep in mind that the voice of the ego, the voice of the world, that part of your mind that's been conditioned and programmed by the world, that part of the mind that believes in fear and separation. That's right, Alita. Let me see where I'm misperceiving. That part of you is reading the course first. I say often to students that you read the course all the way through the first time just so you can now read the course all the way through for the first time. So the first time going through the course is actually, in my perception, just preparing you to go through the course for the first time, because it's going to be your ego, usually your old mind, your old programming, that's going to be interpreting what you're reading at first. And the way you can tell if your ego is interpreting A Course in Miracles is that if your ego is interpreting A Course in Miracles, it's going to increase your fear, it's going to increase your confusion, it's going to increase your contraction and your resistance. That's how you know. If what you're reading is frightening you, then obviously you're not reading it through the eyes of love. Because how could the eyes of love and truth interpret what you're reading in such a way that it frightens you or makes you angry? So it's really not difficult to tell when you are doing things through your ego, your old programming, and when you're now doing things through the Holy Spirit, which is the voice for love. So go back through what it says in the preface and in the Course in Miracles, because it's an overview of what the Course in Miracles is teaching. And then we next are going to go into the introduction. And that's where we're going to start in the next class. So I want to thank you for being here and hearing this at a very deep but simple level. I love all of the comments that you've been making and that you've been sharing with each other. And I want you to share this video on your timeline and like the video and join as many people and turn on as many people as you feel inwardly led to share this with. I'm now doing all my classes from this page. I'm a full-time teacher. That's what I do. That's the only thing that I do in the world, is try to be a voice for God. And if you feel moved, and I would truly appreciate it if you feel moved by Holy Spirit to do so, then go to my website, earlpurdy.com, earlpurdy.com, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation. Thank you for doing that, earlpurdy.com. Also, I am very much here to work with people on a one-on-one to let go of their blocks after doing this for so long. So I do one-on-one sessions called clarity sessions. And I use my knowledge of astrology and numerology, which is also another spiritual path in its truest nature, the way it was originally done. So for people that are open to it, then I can use many different methods to allow you to let go of the blocks to the awareness of joy and happiness in your life. So earlpurdy.com. Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, I do another Course in Miracles class on Facebook Live. And on Tuesday nights, I do The Way of Mastery. And that's at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. It's on the Earl Purdy page. And you would go to, or you could just go to www.facebook.com/Earl Purdy Live. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you taking part with Hardcore Course, because Hardcore Course is just working intensely with the book without analyzing it and seeing how it is explaining itself. You are awesome. I feel connected to you. And remember that if you are using your body correctly, then you feel invulnerable and you feel more peace. If you're using your body for fear, then that's when you feel like there are things going on that are not pleasant or healthy in your body. And also, remember that sickness, according to the Course in Miracles, is merely non-right-mindedness. That's all. And the Holy Spirit is your loving right mind. So forget all of your misperceptions. I love it how it says, acknowledging Christ and all our brothers, we recognize Christ's presence in ourselves. So let's say it another way. Acknowledging love in all our brothers, the minds that are joined with us, we recognize love's presence in ourselves. Forgetting all of our misperceptions and with nothing from the past to hold us back, that's when we remember God. When do you remember God? When you've forgotten all of your misperceptions and wrong ways of seeing things, which happens through the body. When I have nothing that I've learned from the past or experienced in the past that's holding me back, then we can remember God. That's when you remember love. That's when you remember truth. When you've forgotten all of your wrong ways of looking at things, when you don't have anything from your past and gone to hold you back, that's when you remember love. That's when you remember happiness. That's when you remember love. That's when you remember happiness. So it says, beyond this, learning cannot go. So learning can take you to the point that you remember God. Learning can take you to the point that you remember the truth. Your learning can take you to the point that you remember love. But beyond that, learning cannot go. So when we are ready, what did the Course in Miracles say is going to happen when we are ready? When we are ready, God will take the final step in our return to God. Our Creator, that which created us, is going to take the last step in our return to God. Love will take the final step in our return to love when we are ready. How do you know when you are ready? Well, you know when you are ready because you will be remembering God. You will be remembering truth. That's how you know when you're ready. You'll know when you're ready because you will be forgetting all of the things that the world has taught you to make you feel separate. You will know when you're ready because you will no longer be choosing to identify with your body as just being your true self. You will know when you're ready because you will listen to love's voice and you will use your body for communicating love. Take a breath. Here I am, God. Thank you, CJ, for narrating. I love you, all of you. I want to see you past what my body's senses tell me. I want to see you, my brothers and sisters in white bodies. I want to see you beyond your body in anything that my ego from the past may have told me, from me thinking that I'm a black person in a black body, that would have made me have any kind of separation from you or judge you as a part of myself in any way. Any females, any beings in female bodies that I have misperceived by just seeing you as a body and treating you like a body instead of seeing you as the love that you truly are beyond the body, I want to ask your forgiveness. I want to ask your forgiveness for me thinking that I was a man, seeing you in a limited way, because that was a misperception. That was my call for God. That was my call for help. So I want to admit all fear of my ego that I've been using my body for, all racism, all anger, all lack, all separation, anything that I've been using my body for that has not been love. I want to recognize that that was my call for help. That was my call for God, my call for love. And I'm willing to see you beyond what my physical senses have taught me about how to see you. So we're all beings in different colored bodies and in different gendered bodies. But if we want to hear the voice of God, if we want to hear the voice for spirit, then we have to stop choosing to identify with just being our physical bodies. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we'll be. This is Brother John Christmas at johnChristmas.com. So let's go into our hearts right now and tell each other, can you hear it? Can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it. Know that we are one. I love you so much. Damola, I see you correctly. Thank you for being here. And I will definitely. Don't forget, follow this page and you'll always be notified whenever I am doing a live broadcast. I love you. Listen to this over and over again, many times, and please share it.